this episode of Poy McCrispy's movie review, we tackle Andy Muschietti's adaptation of Stephen King's 1986 horror novel, It. I've not read the original book, so this review is going to be focusing on the 2017 movie as a standalone film. This film focuses on the lives and experiences of 7 children who are terrorized by a demonic clown known as Pennywise that returns every 27 years to feed on the fears of children in a small town in Maine, USA. I was pleasantly surprised by how likable the cast actually was. Every character was realistic, enjoyable, and fleshed out. Everyone's favorite clown was played by none other than Bill Skarsgård. The film's witty comic relief, Richie Tazier, is played by the young Canadian actor Finn Wolfhard, who you might recognize from the popular show Stranger Things. Next up is Sophia Lillis, who played one of the leading characters in the group, Beverly Marsh, and had one of the most interesting stories out of the group. This is also the love interest of another character, Bill. The previously mentioned character, Bill Denbrough, was brought to life by Jaden Lieberter. This character was arguably the main protagonist of the film, whose main goal is finding his brother who was killed by Pennywise. Bill's lost brother, Georgie, is played by Jackson Robert Scott, who didn't get a lot of screen time, but his performance was convincing and effective when he was. Chosen Jacobs played Mike Hanlon, a friendly kid who is the son of an animal farmer of some sorts, whose skills and tools come in handy later in the movie. The young American actor, Jake Dylan Grazer, played the role of Eddie Kasbrak, a young boy who has lived his whole life believing that he was very sick, only to find out that the medicine that he had been taking his whole life was nothing but a placebo. Next up in the crew is Wyatt Oleff, who played Stanley Uris, who you might recognize from the beginning of the first Guardians of the Galaxy. The last character in the group is Ben Hanscom, played by Jeremy Ray Taylor, who is very helpful to the rest of the group, and in that he is knowledgeable in the history of their town and the history of Pennywise himself. My overall thoughts, in my opinion, this wasn't much of a horror movie. It was more of the classic sort of coming-of-age Sandlot-esque movie, more than a generic Hollywood horror movie such as like Annabelle or The Conjuring, that sort of thing, which I was very surprised to see, because I'd been hearing all over the radio and other places that for some people it was the scariest thing they had ever seen in their whole life, which I think is utterly ridiculous, and that they're completely missing the point of the movie. It was pretty obvious that Pennywise was a demonic clown creature thing, but also the somewhat physical manifestation of all the children's fears. For example, when Pennywise, it always has this sort of like horribly sick zombie-like creature, which is a physical representation of his deepest fear, disease, that you like find out in the movie. Also, the use of colors and sound and atmosphere in this movie was fantastic. To wrap it up, it was a great movie, at least a 9.5 out of 10. It left you with a very satisfied, content feeling, and if you haven't checked it out yet, you definitely should. Hey, if you like this review, make sure to give it a like and subscribe to my channel for more. See you next time.